Hi, welcome to our Lego Bible story. I hope you have your Legos all ready. Today's story comes from the Gospel of Matthew. Remember, the Gospels were the first 4 books of the New Testament, and they tell us what Jesus said and did when he was alive. And in our story today, Jesus was talking to the Pharisees. Those were religious leaders, and they asked him, what is the most important of all the commandments? And Jesus said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your soul. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And they could think about that. And I wonder if you've ever thought about that. If those 2 rules, those 2 commandments, to love God with all that we are, and to love our neighbors as ourselves, can you think of anything else in the Bible that goes against those or doesn't fit within there? Something to think about. I wonder what it means to love God with all that we are. I think it would mean that we'd have to put God first. We have our little Lego Jesus here, so we're going to put him there because he's first. And that, I think, would mean putting God before everything. Would mean putting God before building the best house we could think of. Clearly, I'm fairly limited in what I can think of for houses. It would mean putting God in front of everything. In front of the best, this reminds me of a book, the best books we'd want to read. It would mean putting God in front of our family. And putting God in front of our friends. And putting God in front of ourselves. That if we would love God with all that we are, all that we think about, all that we feel, all that's the very essence of us. If God was first, then everything else would be back here. That's kind of hard to think about sometimes, isn't it? Sometimes I try to I put God with all that I think and feel and am, and then I just kind of creep forward and my head falls off. Because sometimes I forget. I wonder if that ever happens to you. Or sometimes I might be thinking about what God wants, and if I give my whole self to God, but maybe there's something kind of interesting or something I want to do, and I forget. And I have to remember again and again and again. I don't know about you, but I have to always remember, oh, right, I'm supposed to love God with all that I am. That comes first. And when I remember to put that first, everything else sort of follows. The other one is to love my neighbor as myself. Well, if these are all my friends and family, that might be pretty easy. I already like them. But what if this is somebody I don't agree with? What if it's even somebody who's been mean to me? Or somebody who just says things that I think are wrong all the time, or I find this person to be mean, or whatever. I just don't like them. What would it mean to love that person the same way I love myself? I don't think that it means to let that person be mean to me, because I don't want to be mean to me. I don't think that's very loving. But it might mean to forgive them when they are. Did you ever have somebody who you didn't like so much that you couldn't even think about being nice to them? I think about some people in the world who've just done really awful, cruel things, and it'd be hard to figure out how to love them. I wonder how you do that. Sometimes what I do is I pray for those people. I figure God can sort it all out, and that's the most loving thing I can think of to do. It doesn't mean I like them. It probably doesn't mean I'm ever going to like them. But I can pray for them because it keeps me safe. It doesn't hurt me. And it is a way of loving them. It is easy to pray for my friends and my family. It's easy to think about what it means to love them. But Jesus said we're supposed to love our neighbors as ourselves. And in a different story, he tells us that basically everybody's our neighbor. And that means we have to love the people we don't like very much. Sometimes it almost seems easier when there's 2 rules instead of all the others that are in there in the Bible. But these 2 rules aren't easy, are they? They sound pretty. Love sounds pretty. But love is really hard. Fortunately, Jesus actually helps us with all of them. So I can pray to Jesus and say, I didn't make it. I didn't love you with all that I am. I was paying attention to everything else instead and what I wanted instead of what you wanted. I'm sorry, can you help me? And Jesus will help me. Jesus was on earth with people. He had friends, he traveled with them, he met all sorts of people. So he knows what it's like when we struggle to love each other. He got to have that happen. And so he can help us to love our friends and our family and our community and our church. And he can help us to love the people we don't like very much. I wonder what part of those 2 commandments, to love God with your heart and mind and soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself, I wonder what part you like the best. I wonder what part is the hardest. I wonder what's hardest to remember and what's hardest to do. I wonder if you've ever had a time when you were loving God with all that you are and how that was for you. I wonder if God has ever helped you when there was somebody you didn't like very much. Did God ever show you how to love them? I wonder what's the hardest. I wonder what feels the best. I wonder what you think.